Welcome to the latest This Week's Acca podcast, sponsored by Skybet Acca Freeze. Tom, Joe and Jimmy with you to run through the schedule. Coming up on this episode then, we're backing 4 teams for success from across the EFL divisions. We're talking record points tallies in certain leagues and also some friendly advice to avoid certain rows on away days. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to ensure that you never miss an episode, and remember to keep it fun. Never bet more you can afford. This podcast is 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. Let's start, as we always do, by looking back at last week's Acca, which was rubbish, but didn't end up as bad as it could have been. So let's take some kind of positive from that.
I know I have.
What happened? Remind me.
I don't know.
Okay, well...
Really shafted me there. I can't remember last week's.
Okay, I'll go onto the Acca Tracker website, webpage on sportlife.com if you want to follow every pick that we've done. 3 winners, 2 losses. Those teams actually lost as well. Huddersfield in a shock defeat at home to Northampton, and Notts County, who were back to beat Gillingham, who someone assured me are terrible and will drop off and have no chance, beat them at Meadow Lane, is it? So, yeah, 3 wins, 2 losses. Before we get into this one, any good comments, Jimmy? We encourage people to get in touch.
Yeah.
They do so.
Yeah, they did. First off, shout out to Welsh Hibby's wife's boyfriend who loves the show.
As soon as I saw that comment, I thought, right, someone's taken the best comments Jimmy will read out, and they just know, they can read you like a book. They knew you'd love that.
I'm all for it. George Murray, 8126, says he's been keeping a record of all capital picks vetoed and selected for the Acca. Might fire it out on a Google sheet next international break. I've wondered what you made of that.
I've got a few picks that were vetoed last week, actually.
Oh, my God, he's doing this.
Yeah, I've got a few.
On that, we do have the Acca Tracker, but we don't track the ones that are vetoed.
Because there was a few...
Carry on.
It was a late substitution last week because I was shitting through the eye of a needle at 3 o'clock in the morning. So thanks to Jimmy for stepping in. But I have heard that do you know what I did? I sent these
At 3 a.m.
I sent these notes over because I thought this is a bit harsh on Jimmy, giving him barely any notice. You're gonna have to come in. So I sent over everything I'd prepped for the podcast, and Jimmy said, "We're not looking at these, are we? We're not looking at these notes. What's the point? Why has he sent these over for?"
Yeah, but you can't listen to anyone in this.
Luton.
Oh,
Wrexham.
Yeah. Luton.
Burnley.
Wrexham. Burnley. Villa.
Wickham. West Brom. Sheffield United. Peterborough.
Oh, I didn't see them down there anyway. No, really well done. Congratulations.
So I think I've used up all my luck for the...
Right, well, welcome back anyway,
Yeah.
in that case. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were on 3 wins, 2 losses last week. Joe, though, got...
winning Acca for me.
So well done.
Yeah, well, you know what he should have done?
Right.
If you want to get in touch on Twitter, it's at JoesterT, and I'm considering setting up my own private channel for when I've got sickness and diarrhea. But it's usually twice a season.
Well, you got
say.
just a lot of time to think, aren't you? There's not a great deal else to do. This week, then, I suppose, the oracle that is here, you better kick us off then if you're smashing in tenfold winners every single week.
Yeah, well...
Give us a good, strong starting pick for this week's Acca.
Interestingly, because you mentioned about Gillingham stitching it up at Notts County, I did like that pick last week, even though it wasn't on my list, because...
A winning list.
Yeah, you set your...
list.
The genius
You
list.
do kind of set yourself up a bit, don't you? I don't mean you. I mean us. If you're going to back top of the table to beat second in the table, you look like geniuses if you win. You look like you're trying to be smart if it doesn't. But it was really unfortunate last week because Notts County kept it under wraps for the entire week. That Alassane Jatta had concussion, didn't tell anybody, and he'd just been suffering a bit of dizziness. So then he missed the game. They played really well, had a goal disallowed really late in the game, missed a load of chances. They definitely didn't deserve to lose. So it wasn't a match where all of a sudden, Gillingham are brilliant, Notts County are poor. So it was particularly unfortunate. This week, Notts County go away to Morecambe, who are terrible. Absolutely horrendous. So Morecambe have drawn the last 2, conceded 5 goals in both of those games. And both those matches, the only reason why they've drawn is because they scored 2 goals really late in both those matches, just throwing the kitchen sink forward. Conceded a load of chances before that, so they just robbed a couple of points. They've lost every other game this season before those 2 matches. Notts County are 17-20 to win that game. If Morecambe were trailing by a goal or two to Notts County and tried to do that, Notts County are going to tear them to pieces. Colchester and Fleetwood are not. So I think that price is enormous. Notts County are the best team in League Two. They're playing the worst team in League Two.
Oh, it's just so they drew on Monday, didn't they? 2-2 it was.
They were awful.
Fleetwood. They had 11 shots. They conceded 11 shots on target in the first half. They were battered.
They're 5-0 down against. They're 5-0 down against Notts County.
But then, is that not so Derek Adams though? Is there not the, let's call it the Derek Adams doubt that he's about, and his teams can just absolutely shit out something from nothing? That the only little thing that's. Or am I overthinking it? I don't know, because in theory, you just go against what we're saying, one of the best teams in the league, against the worst in a team. Yeah, as you touched on there, lots of losses, weren't scoring, came from behind a couple of times. I mean, the price is decent, isn't it? I don't mind that at all. If it was, say, a 4-7, I'd stay well clear, but you are pushing near even money, right?
Yeah, that's what I can't believe it, to be honest. I can't see that that's going to be there by kickoff, because people will see it, that it's basically best team in the league against worst team in the league, and they'll be all over it. That's going to be going in loads of people's accas. Obviously, it being an away team, you don't tend to get that same rush on the prices, but it's crazy. The Notts County played Bromley a couple of weeks ago, bit average in the first half, trailing, and then they just absolutely steamrolled them in the second half. So even if they start slowly and are struggling against a poor team, they've just got way too much from Morecambe. Just cannot keep the ball out of the net, and Notts County can't stop scoring. So it's kind of a perfect storm as a meeting as well.
If they go 2-0 up, you can always freeze it as well if you're terrified of the Derek Adams comeback trademark.
Acca freeze.
Second in the XG table, according to the sportinglife.com League 2 XG table. That's the
Morecambe.
only mention, Notts County, the only mention we'll have of that data today. I've been one round to this, Jimmy. Any thoughts on having Notts County, who I feel have and will feature a lot in Accas this season, to win?
Oh, I love it.
Brilliant.
And any concern you have about Derek Adams' doubt, I think it's nullified by the individual quality Notts County have. Because it's not just concussed Yatta, best player in Championship. David McGoldrick, he's in League Two playing for him. Dan Crowley's he's on absolute fire this season. Jody Jones, who's apparently taking the penalties. I'm just reading the list of players, but there's so much individual quality.
I'm looking at your laptop there and then just listing another player. They have got a squad.
They've got a big squad. No, but so much individual quality. I think there's about 4 different players I'm looking at that could dig them out of any hole that they might get put in. So I happily have them. The only slight concern I had was the price. You said it was big. I was just looking. Doncaster went off the same price at home, but I don't know if you rank Doncaster as highly as Notts County.
Oh, no. No.
Close, but Notts County would be higher, wouldn't they, in the rankings?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Gillingham went off closer to evens away. But if you rank Notts County higher than them two sides, then let's go for it.
I don't think we have to overthink it then. We're all in agreement here. 10 to 11, the best price out there at the time of record. 17 to 20, 5 to 6, depending, all fine prices. I think we're in agreement there. So the first pick then of this week's Acca, it comes from Sky Bet League 2. It's an away team. Notts County to win at Morecambe. Moving on then, we've got an away team in. I want to go for a home team, and we did put out on the YouTube page. Apparently you can do posts on YouTube.
Who knew?
You can just ask people stuff, and they'll tell you stuff.
It's turning into like a proper social media channel, isn't it? Not just video now. I saw that the other day.
You could just do daft videos.
Scroll down and there's a load of weird.
And then they did shorts. They
Jimmy's
bitten
young.
into there.
I like how YouTube caters to all of my social requirements. Long videos, short videos. Now we feel like we're really building up a community on there. I mean, what did we get on the last post? 1 comment.
Yep.
It's brilliant.
Well, that's fine though, because the one comment from Michael Hurst 7014 is the one comment I agree with, because it's a team I had in. We asked who should go in this week's Acca. He said Blackpool to beat Burton.
When we just had a little 1 minute break there, Jimmy scrolled up and down his screen. He's like, I'm telling you, he's putting in here, and just started pointing at his screen.
It's on what is a. I'm going to say tricky-ish slate by
Yes, it is.
usual standards, to be fair. We usually kind of discussed that at the start. We didn't, but it's a tricky enough slate. Home teams that jump out. Blackpool, we spoke about time and time again on this, but under previous management at home, you take them. Since then, Steve Bruce, who saw that coming.
Bacon?
How's the bacon? He's been enjoying the comparisons to Hull in that they're just planes going past the training ground, landing nearby at a nearby airport. He says, it reminds me so much of my time at Hull. It's planes going around.
I love Steve.
It is
I
one
do.
interview. It's not been distracting them for training, though. 3 wins from 3 in the league since he came in. That includes away wins, away at Charlton and Huddersfield as well, who... Huddersfield a bit slippy form at the moment.
3-1 to win at Huddersfield, they were.
It's just incredible. Really good impact early doors. 2 really positive wins as well. I think the other one might have been Exeter. Maybe
Yes,
I didn't
2-1
know
home.
that one. So for me, yeah, it's a club that typically we look to for their home games. Burton have done it again this season where I've gone, oh yeah, they could be good. It's not quite happened for them. Maybe it still will. There's plenty of time to go. But Blackpool, upturn under Steve Bruce, pushing under up the table, I should say. 4-7 again. Just looks like one of those picks that you just chuck straight in your Saturday accumulator. And I hope you all agree with me and Michael on YouTube.
No, sorry. Sorry to Michael as well. Well, it's not a hard no. It's just pinning him for later, maybe, I think.
Why?
Price and Bruce's fast start has made me a little bit uneasy, to be honest. Credit to him. He struck me as he's made some tweaks that is what you'd like to call like what the fans think are glaringly obvious, just little things like, and it looks
In the catering.
get
Short queues for
bacon.
beer on the concourse.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. When it's glaringly obvious,
I don't
when
know
you
what you mean,
support
but
the
yeah.
team, he should be playing there. We should be doing this. He's just made some tweaks that made sense. But looking at the manner of the wins, 1 goal, great win away at Huddersfield. But it was James Husband header very late against Exeter. Exeter very average.
You've only been there 5 minutes, to be fair to Steve.
2-1 against Charlton. I know this is just waffle, really, but bottom line is the price might be a touch short for me. But if we're really struggling, I'm happy to have them in.
Well, you can also say that Blackpool beat Burton in the Carabao Cup. I think it was first round, and that was under
You
previous management, and that was 4-0. So
I-
now, if the manager's better, it should be 7-0.
I would basically be similar combining the pair of you. So
Maybe.
Definitely.
I think if we need one to put in at the end, I've got it down as like 4 or 5 on my list. That I like it, but just because it's a touch short,
Yeah.
and it kind of commits us to maybe having 5 in.
Yes.
But I do like it. But I think if we get it in second, it kind of boxes us in a bit. It's a good point about the past manager though, because Blackpool they're actually doing well when they sacked their old manager. So it goes back a little while that it's not just the new manager. He's really benefited from when he's come in, Steve Bruce. They've lost 1 in 8 in all competitions, unbeaten in the league in 5. So they're definitely not one to worry too much about the new manager bounce type thing.
Where do you think Neil Critchley goes before he ends up back at Blackpool, by the way? No. We get like a Grant McCann, Darren Ferguson, Peterborough sort of thing, where I'll go somewhere else, don't work. Back to Blackpool in a year, sorts them out, and then the cycle just continues forever and ever.
Forever.
Okay, then, give me another team. Jimmy, we'll go to you.
Same.
I get the point on the price, to be fair, because at this point it does feel like we'd be committing to, say, a 5.
So committing to 5, yeah. And to be honest, I don't know if we've we've been going too short recently and having to do 5, and that's been working against us. You know, with it being I found it a really tricky slate. I'd be tempted just to go maybe a bit bigger prices, less teams.
What you got for us then?
23-20, another away team, Rotherham at Shrewsbury.
Okay.
I am doubling down on my Rotherham stance.
It wouldn't be an episode of this podcast if Steve Evans Rotherham weren't mentioned in one capacity. But Shrewsbury are rubbish, so I'm
Shrewsbury
all
are
ears.
rubbish, yeah. And interestingly, we've gone against them twice on the show this season, and it's paid off both times. There is sort of like signs of improvements with them based on their last game, what I saw on a very short highlights clip. But
Extensive.
they are only 1 win all season in the league because we don't care about the cup if it doesn't suit us.
Correct.
if it doesn't suit our argument. And
Not
Rotherham,
against Leighton Orient before Leighton Orient suddenly become good. Was that Shrewsbury's win?
I'm going to say yes, but I haven't got a clue.
You carry on and I'll have a little look, but I'm sure it's before they suddenly remembered that they were actually quite good at football.
Yeah, and Rotherham, I really
Yeah, it
fancied
was.
them. It was.
It was 3-0 Leighton.
The man. I really fancied them. Anti-post, it's not paid off yet, but as everyone knows, don't worry about the league table until the 10th game because, to be honest, the performance has been really good. I don't know what's going on in front of goal, but they are second for big chances created, first for big chances missed, and I think that tells you everything you need to know about what's going wrong at Rotherham. And I hope I'm proved right, and it does click in front of goal, and it does click for Steve Evans, but there's a niggling doubt in my mind that maybe he's just past it.
Yeah.
His system no longer works. His horrible, nasty, mean system where it's horrible to players, plays horrible football. Maybe it's run its course.
They're not keeping it out either. Are they?
Yeah, that's another point.
That was the slight concern for me because I looked at it and thought similar, more along the lines that Shrewsbury are so bad.
Yeah, that's what I was
I
thinking.
was going to say, you say you can't keep it out. Is Shrewsbury going to be able to find the net, really?
Are
That's
Rotherham
what-
actually any good, or are we just thinking, oh, we expect them to be good?
No, I've
But,
seen them a lot. I think
Yeah.
they are. I think they are good. They're
That's
just been
what-
crap finishing.
Yeah, that's what just makes me a bit uncomfortable. I think that at that price, 23 to 20, then
Yep.
there are options at the similar price that are more compelling.
Let me chuck in then. Again, another one we can revisit on that. Let me chuck in. What are thoughts on Millwall to beat Preston 19-20?
Hate it.
What?
Hate it.
What?
Hate it.
Preston doing really well since.
I can't get.
Nah.
Millwall are struggling.
Millwall, if you want to talk about teams underperforming in front of goal, Jesus Christ, what the
I
hell
know.
is going
If you
on in
wanna
that
Read
team?
more about that, then Tom Canduff's notebook goes into nice detail about
Yes, go on
George
the
Savile
site.
and his
Lovely.
exploits this season.
But what the hell is going on there? I just don't get it. And this was a bit before. I can't remember when Neil Harris was last at the club. But there was a period where it's just like every time you watch them, there's periods of just everyone's in the box. It's usually from set pieces or something. There's a huge scramble. It doesn't end up in goal. They've scored a decent amount, actually. I think Millwall must be one of the highest scorers in the division. And even then, it feels like there's just missed opportunities to go about. This matchup just feels like, Preston, have they got enough about them to really kind of exploit this Millwall defence? I'm not too sure. I know they played Harrogate in one of Heckingbottom's first games in charge. He changed the system. Attack was really flowing. It looked good. Okay, it's a struggling League Two side. But you thought, they might stick with this. Haven't quite done so. It just, for me, I'm not sure there's enough there for them to trouble a Millwall defence who has been open and has been vulnerable. But at the other end, their attack, I mean, Duncan Watmore's been a big reason as to why. But the attack going forward is creating a lot. And a bit like Rotherham, if Jimmy wants to go down that way, that it's just wasteful. It's just a wasteful nature. I just can't believe they haven't got more goals on their tally. It just feels like Millwall at the Den, at home to Preston. Again, near even money you're talking around here, 19-20. I'd put that into an Acca
can't
without
go
giving it
against-
to
I
can't
can't
go
go against
Preston at the
Preston.
minute.
Not at even money. I saw that and I thought that is horrible. So what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 games, 3 wins, only 1 loss, and they led against Oxford. And they played them off the park in the first half.
And played really well against Middlesbrough.
Yes.
As well.
During the last 3 games, one of them in the cup, but that were against Fulham.
Knocked them out.
Yep, 90 minutes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm pretty happy
Yeah.
to say no, thank you.
Sam Greenwood suspended. Your bitey man might be suspended.
Last choice. So similar price.
We need something here. For
So-
God's
Yeah, we
sake. We've got
do.
one pick and we've been going on about
similar
20.
price to the first one, so 11-10. Port Vale to beat Swindon.
I did have this one down and just no notes because I thought,
So
Yeah.
Port Vale have just started to get things going this season under Darren Moore. They should be right up there. It would be a surprise if they don't finish
They
in
were
the
there.
playoffs. Yeah. So it's a short explanation for them. They're a good team. Last 3 results show that they've actually got going a bit. They beat Chesterfield at home, won 4-1 away at Newport, 2 late goals to draw away at Accrington last week. But Swindon's the big one for me. So I'm just regurgitating stats where I tried to go against Swindon in the podcast a few weeks ago. And they are just a really poor team and have been for ages. So they were good when they had Jake Young on loan, and they've been rubbish since they've not had Jake Young on loan. It's nearly a year. So they've taken 41 points from the last 44 league games, 0.93 points per game. 1 match they've won all season. They're just really poor at football.
What was the one match they won all season?
Yeah, but do you want to ask? Do you want to?
beat Newport?
Yeah, but do you want to asterisk it? That was the week after Newport's head loss against Port Vale, where they had multiple players sent off. There was, I think 2 of their 3 back line might have got sent off that day, so they were obviously dealing with suspensions as well. And naturally, you are going to back Swindon to kind of do the job there, aren't you? Really, when you're facing that, so that is the big asterisk on their only win of the season as well.
They're just really poor, and yeah, Port Vale under Darren Moore are going to be up there. So I'm surprised it's odds against, to be honest.
I'm happy with this. I had it down, to be honest. And again, no notes, just on the basis of, this is one that, Swindon away, you're largely going to back against them. Port Vale, a team that should be in and around the top 7, given the squad that they have built there. And again, this just looks like a very winnable Acca home pick, if you're on board as well, Jimmy. And it seems to be by the amount of yeses you've dropped in.
Yeah, I want the sim. Great price.
Right, because we've waffled on for so long and dismissed so much, we haven't actually made any picks apart from Notts County. Brilliant. We're staying in Sky Bet League 2, then joining Notts County for their away win at Morecambe. It's a home side. It's Port Vale to beat Swindon. Two teams so far, a whole other host of them dismissed. So just give me a team that we can all get on board with for the third pick of this week's Acca. That side of the desk.
Oh, Birmingham.
All right, yeah, cool. I don't know who they're playing, but yeah.
They're going to beat everyone.
Yeah,
they're going to win every game.
They're
now, the rest of the season.
112 points.
Shit, yeah.
Man City of League One.
Yeah, I feel like I can't not have this. There's no logic not to having this at the price. What is it, 4 to 6, home to Peterborough. We were just saying about, I went against them when Wrexham played them, and they was just a class above Wrexham, who was, I think, that
it was such
leading
like
the table at the time.
Clash, that game of styles of Wrexham. We're going to bully them into it here. We know we've got the physicality on them, but Birmingham going, we're better at football. Because ultimately, Birmingham, as much as the focus has been on the spending and obviously the Stansfield fee and stuff like that, and you can question it, Birmingham have basically just built a squad for the Championship now, haven't they? They're forward planning ahead on that. They're effectively operating with, you look at the state of the Championship, a squad that could theoretically lower end playoff, that sort of area, your 8th to 10th, and maybe break ahead of that, and they're operating with that in League One.
They've done like what Ipswich did, except blown it out of the water financially, haven't they? Because of the financial rules in League One, you're not hostage to the same profit and loss, are you? It's all based on how much you spend according to your wages or something like that. So you actually can just have loads of input. If your owners want to invest loads of money in transfer fees, you can do it. But in the Championship, you can't. So if you've got rich owners, you're almost better being relegated if you can get straight back up, which is an insane rule. But like, fair play to the owners for backing the club.
I was just thinking then we should put our money together, buy a Championship club, sabotage them, get them relegated, pump loads of money in.
Okay.
Premier League free season.
No any billionaires?
I was going to say,
Find some
the
investors.
big point for me, the 2 big points for me on that plan is, where do we get the initial money? And where the hell do we get all the money for the League One spending spree?
We'll just find some investors.
No matter what we do, we won't be able to do it as well as Birmingham, who
Anyway,
have been.
sorry, me and Tom
we
really
were on
put
about
you off there. Birmingham to beat Peterborough at 4 to 6, 8 to 13.
No, not tons to say. What is there to say? They're unbeaten. I've just been, the versatility of their wins, like going to Rotherham, 2 bits of quality in what was like fine margins game, really. Coming from behind on several occasions, away at like stodgy, awful places like Wickham. They went 1-0 down early on and then rallied late 3-1, and then it was a late goal. It's like the versatility of their results. They are the real deal. Gab was right, unbeaten, and 8-13. It's definitely backable.
It's going in, definitely, I think. Yeah. But my 1 point just on Birmingham before we move on then. Teams that made 100 points, Wolves, Sheffield United did it.
Hey-o, 101.
Plymouth did it. Someone like Charlton maybe have done it in the past.
Charlton did it with that's it, yeah, under Powell, I think, didn't they?
Birmingham.
Reading with Steve Coppell?
That were league above.
Championship,
Oh,
wasn't it?
sorry.
But League One, I'm on about 100 points.
Maybe Luton did it with Mike Newell, I think, years ago.
Anyway, Birmingham, 100 points, yes or no? And are we just going to absolutely smash that tally?
Yeah.
Is this the confidence that we've got on these?
I like it.
No.
No.
I think they do. I think what we've seen, they'll get 100, but I just don't want them to smash it. Surely they're going to have
We're
a...
not saying what we want, it's what we think. So-
Civilized 102.
Yeah.
Yes.
Civilized, nice civilized. Well done. That's a great season. Nobody else is too embarrassed.
They've got some pissheads in their side as well, like boys who like a drink.
I don't think so.
Are they
In the
gonna
break
turn
bit-
the party on
In the break bit, we'll look for the squad and then we can revisit this.
I think
Yeah.
Bielik don't mind a drink. Looking that he's sending off the other day.
that was
Based on
good.
absolutely
That was
nothing.
brilliant. That, by the way, I'm already on a yellow. I'm just going to smash someone. Why not, eh? And he served a suspension, so he'll be back for
be
this
back.
game. Third pick then of this week's Acca comes from Sky Bet League One. It is, I think we're all in agreement, the best team by far in the division, Birmingham, for a home win over Peterborough. We have three teams then so far. The way we're going suggests that we'll probably go for four because the price is just shy of 5-1 at the moment on Birmingham to beat Peterborough, Port Vale to beat Swindon and Notts County to beat Morecambe. Potential of a pick. There's a lot that I've got, but I'm willing to hear from others first.
Yeah, there's not really that many. I don't know about you two, but I didn't think there's that many sure things this week, but a fair few around the even money or bigger marker that I think are a really nice price. And one of those for me is Sheffield United. And as a Blades fan, I know Jimmy will be able to add a bit more context.
Heyo.
But when we did our pre-season chats, then I said then I thought Sheffield United had just gone under the radar a bit, probably because of the points deduction. But they kept hold of key players, made some really good signings, championship-proven players, but nobody was talking about them at all. And weirdly now, they're fifth in the table, doing really well. If you give them 2 points back, they'd be third, a couple of points off the top. And somehow they threw away that home win against QPR by conceding late goals.
Yeah, but we learnt more from that then, so it's fine. We've learnt from it.
But they're unbeaten.
I'd take that 2-2 draw from now, knowing what we've learnt from that.
Yeah,
I don't want the extra.
Yeah,
2
it's
points.
basically 2 points, isn't it, really?
They're a fraction away from being like right at the top, and they are banging contention, but they're completely under the radar. And if you think back 6 months ago, it seemed like there was no way you'd get this Chris Wilder 2.0 team being built, but he has managed to do it. Portsmouth, on the other hand, I really feel for them, and I think they're a team to really stick with after this game.
This feels like the end of the run, doesn't it? For
Yeah, so this has been their start to the season. They've played Leeds, Luton, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, West Brom, Burnley, and now Sheffield United. And up until the new year, after this, they don't have another fixture. They also lost at home to Millwall, so they'll be devastated about that. But all they've got is a couple of draws. They will look at the fixtures all the way to the new year and think there's no game here we feel like it's really tough. They're playing middling championship teams, but their start to the season has been horrendous, and all those teams, bar the odd one, have wiped the floor with them. Luton were down to 10 men after 25 minutes and they still couldn't beat
keeper
them.
as well.
0-0.
Hilarious red card.
Yeah.
Kaminsky.
What are you doing?
I thought he got booked for both of those things in that passage of play.
Yeah.
They were that outrageous, weren't they?
Incredible. Make sure you get sent off.
Do it right.
So I think they've just been outclassed, conceded three times, 2 another time, conceded 3 at home to West Brom, 3 at home to Sunderland. Both of those were almost 3-0 defeats. They scored against Sunderland in stoppage time to get a consolation goal, which was an own goal as well. So this is even money for Sheffield United to win there, and all that added together, I just think it's going to be a massive gap in class, and the price gets it over the line for me.
Yes, I can get on board. Obviously, we'll hear from Jimmy as the resident Blade. 2 reasons. Basically, the reasons have been said there. It feels like now, after this, Portsmouth's games are very winnable. Then you're not really going to oppose them. I also like the idea of backing Sheffield United when availability is there. The first 11 looks absolutely superb. Just because of what happened in the summer and the events of the summer and are dragged on takeover and stuff like that, the squad depth is a bit iffy. If injuries start to come in, then there's going to be some more problems. But at the moment, while everyone's available, probably now is the time to get on board with Sheffield United at this price. So I think I've been won over. Will Jimmy be able to put away bias to do so?
Well,
You never want to back your own team, do you? We
No.
never back our own teams.
I thought it was, just being cynical, like ignoring them on the slate. but we are one of only 4 EFL teams yet to be beaten. We're still unbeaten. The thing that was putting me off with Portsmouth was the Burnley performance, point at Borough, point at Ellen Road. But having listened to Joe, they were all away. Maybe
I would say you play that game against Ellen Road another 10 times. Leeds are winning 9.9 of them. It was such an odd day.
worldy in a penalty, weren't it?
Yeah.
And you should have won.
And then there should have been the winner at the end as well. Someone managed to nearly throw it away, having been 3-2 up in the 92nd minute.
Yeah. Could it be the classic bigger team coming to Fratton Park and just getting freedom to play because Portsmouth are forced to play more themselves? Yeah. No, I've been convinced, to be honest. I think I just ignored it because it was my team, but yeah, we're absolutely flying, unbeaten. The only concern I had was I'm still watching Sheffield United and thinking we're yet to click into gear. But individual brilliance won us the game against Derby at the weekend. But Derby, classic Paul 1, just sat really deep. The keeper was unbelievable that afternoon. So yeah, Portsmouth are going to attack more. It's just making me think maybe Sheffield United are a good bet. Maybe we should make them, put them in the Acca and complete a fourfold.
I'm trying desperately to find the tweet that Sheffield United sent about this game. I think it's going in.
Oh,
I did want
yeah.
to mention it. If you are going to Portsmouth as a Blade this weekend, that was it. Portsmouth have advised that supporters under 5'4" will not be able to see the pitch if they're seated on row A. So a good bit of advice there. If you're just Sheffield United fan, if you're going to Fratton Park,
If you're a small Sheffield United
just
fan,
anyone going to Fratton Park in general this season,
or average height for a woman,
do not get a row A ticket. You will not be able to see the pitch. Row B presumably is fine.
heightist.
Just don't go on row A.
We should petition the club about this.
Raise your seating.
Endless.
Disgusting.
Awful.
Take a cushion.
Awful. Well, we hope row A will be celebrating this weekend because it seems like we're settled.
Yeah, and one, I really feel bad actually because that was a lovely, nice point to end on. I can't believe that I managed to forget something because I was talking for about an hour about Sheffield United. Just on the point that Jimmy said, don't feel like Sheffield United have quite got going. The one thing that really stuck out to me last week was defensively, which usually with the Chris Wilder team, that's what it's built upon. Defence first and then work out a way to get your best players to win the game for you. And last week against Derby, 2 shots from Derby, none on target, 0.05 expected goals. You're going to struggle to see a team create less than that in a game in the entire season. And Derby, I know they've not been great away from home, but they've actually started the season really well. 3 wins already. So that is a seriously impressive defensive performance. So, yeah, plenty at the other end of the pitch to be positive about if they've not quite flowing in attack.
Right, we've got it then. I think this is it because at the moment those 4 teams take us to above 10 to 1.
One more thing to add on Sheffield United.
Yeah, well, the 2 things we can tell you about Sheffield United is the price for victory at Portsmouth looks good, and again a reminder, if you are under 5'4", do not sit on row A. This week's Acca then, 4 teams from across the 3 EFL divisions. We are taking Sheffield United to beat Portsmouth in the Championship. We've got Birmingham to beat Peterborough from League 1, and then 2 from League 2. It is Port Vale to beat Swindon and Notts County to beat Morecambe. Best price currently around 10.5 to 1. So hopefully we'll be able to get a nice boost on the Sky Bet price there. As we say every single week, remember to keep it fun, never bet more you can afford, and please gamble responsibly. Make sure you get in touch with us on social media. As we say every week, Jimmy will read the best comments out from the YouTube channel, or search Sport and Life Football. You'll be able to find us that way. And head over to sportandlife.com/football around midday on Friday. You'll be able to find the link to back that one at an enhanced price. And if you haven't already, please follow and rate us on iTunes. Apple Podcasts, I've gone back to saying iTunes, doesn't exist. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the cliche chosen podcast provider. We'll be back next week.